and welcome to Eurosport's coverage of the 1990 Tour de France. Today's stage from Castillon-la-Bataille to Limoges will be over 182 undulating kilometres. There are still 157 riders left in the race for the original 198 starters, so we could be seeing a record number of finishes in Paris. The battle is still in full swing for a place in the top three in Paris. Yesterday, the race leader Claudio Chiappucci stayed close to second place man Greg LeMond, but Pedro Delgado was not so fortunate. We had a crash about 20 kilometres from the finish. Antonio Miguel Diaz crashed down, as did David Cassani. Cassani, the Aliastir rider, looked in a terrible state, but they were back on their bikes and chasing to regain the group. There's been a tremendous split. Up the front, Greg LeMond and Claudio Chiappucci. LeMond in the rainbow jersey as world champion, and Chiappucci in the yellow jersey of race leader. Separated by a mere 5 seconds when the day started, were in the leading group. Not so fortunate behind them was Pedro Delgado. He'd started the day in third place at 3 minutes and 42 seconds down on Chiappucci, and Eric Breukink of the PDM squad was a mere 7 seconds behind Breukink as the stage had left Pau on the way down to Bordeaux. So with the crash, the action was on, and up in front as they went away, this group here were trying to get back up in contention. As the field then began to crumble on the attacks of the Banesto riders, and Pedro Delgado in particular, other members of the PDM squad were trying to slow it down. From that leading group, 3 men broke away. Gianni Bugno, together with his teammate Roberto Gesbaroli, the 2 riders in the red and the white strip, and behind them Eric Breukink, taking advantage of the misfortune of Delgado, but that's what bike racing is all about. He was hammering on toward the finish, Breukink knowing that every pedal rev would take him further and further away from this chase behind. LeMond and Chiappucci staying out of trouble near the head of the race, which is always the best place to be. We saw in the early stages when Laurent Fignon was delayed in a crash and lost something like 44 seconds, but on this occasion, Breukink out of trouble, hammered on in to finish, but it was Gianni Bugno that scored his second success in the Tour de France, and this one in Bordeaux, best known for sprinters. But crossing the line, Breukink just 1 second behind him as the mad charge came for the points in the green jersey competition, with Ludwig on the left, trying to get up alongside Johan Museeuw. It was Fidanza in the Shadow Dax colours that managed to get across the line and take a valuable 4th place for his team. So, looking at that disaster that hit Delgado, you can see he dropped down into 4th place. 3 minutes, 42 seconds down on Claudio Chiappucci. And Breukink now in with a chance of being on the podium in Paris because he's one of the top 3 place riders. And we move on now to today's stage from Castillon-la-Bataille, 182.5 kilometres. It is very, very hot out there today, and the riders are really down in what is almost a cauldron. There's hardly any wind. Yesterday's stage was 35 degrees. You can see where we are now in the Limoges area of France, heading up north, ever closer towards Paris, with just 2 stages to go after this one today. It's a fairly undulating course, just a couple of hills towards the back end of the race to sort them out. A little breakaway group finally managed to get clear because most of the day there had been riders sitting on all attacks. They had a sort of holiday mood about them, but with something like 50,000 French francs up in front, we had a breakaway group with a lead now of 2 minutes and 3 seconds on the main peloton. Looking back at the peloton here, you can see how the Carrera riders, those are the ones with the white jerseys, with the blue stripes coming over the top of the shoulders, and the red band with the name Carrera on the chest. They are protecting their team leader in the yellow jersey, Claudio Chiappucci. And alongside him for a change, look at that, we see the green jersey of Olaf Ludwig. Well, seldom have we seen him in the last few days. He popped up yesterday into Bordeaux, but he's a very big man indeed. He's been struggling in the mountains, but this year, in the points competition, which is on placings of the riders, the number of points awarded in the mountain stages have been reduced from previous years. So on the flat parts, Ludwig was in his element. He even won a stage 8 it was, and so he's managed to survive the mountains, always came in just inside the time limit. There's no way you can pop off the front, get a few points and then decide that you can just spend the rest of the time in the mountains coasting in a long time after the rest finish. You have to finish inside the time limit, and he's done that, so he's happier now in the flatlands, and the riders controlling the race at the front will certainly suit his purpose. Today there's going to be points down to 25th place, 35 points for the first man over the line, and so on. And an attack coming on the way now as off the front, Brian Holm tries to break away. This young rider here from Denmark in the National Championship for colours of Denmark. He won that actually in a time trial because there aren't enough riders they have there to have a complete road race. But quite a young lad, 27 years of age. We say young because some of these top line riders have to run about 30 before they can tackle the Tour de France. But here he is now in the race, setting a hot pace to the front, and they've managed to get a little breakaway group going. So I think they're likewise, it looks like Charlie Mott is having a go at it. I can see one of the Buckler riders, looks a bit like Eric van Hooijdonk. So they begin to split this thing up, and that's a good, useful grab going away. There it is, Van Hooijdonk in that group, and he is the leader. See number 181, that shows that he's the leader of the Buckler squad. Buckler, a company that's new to sponsoring of cycle racing. In fact, it's a brand new name too. It's one which is a non-alcohol beer company, and in Holland they've decided to promote no drinking and driving by saying if you want to drink, then drink Buckler, and so they're sponsoring a cycle racing team to promote the products. All these people travelling posters for various manufacturers. Drifting off the front, the Wyman rider, having had a go at the front. That is a manufacturer of cycle components and also an industrial conglomerate and financial group. So they've got the green and blue colours of the Wyman squad. Looking down the line here, still on the front, Edwin van Hooijdonk wants to get up there and establish a useful lead over the peloton. The Buckler have been the most successful team in getting stage victories so far. It was Frans Maassen who won stage 1 when they created that trouble with the four-man breakaway. We had Greg Solleveld win stage 5, and then Nydam went over in stage 6 across the line to win that one as well. So Kjell Nydam, Gerrit Solleveld and Frans Maassen, 3 so far to Buckler, who would like to put their name on the list of stage victories in the finish at Limoges. One of the fair gang of riders up in front of these. We haven't seen them for some time now. We've had breakaway groups going away when the field began to fall asleep in the very, very hot conditions, and one or two of the lowly placed riders taking a chance, and here they are. We've now gone back up to the leaders, and in there, number 8, Ronan Pansak from the Z squad. Going through there, we can see the rest of the riders. I'll pick them out. 101, nicely placed in there, Adrie van der Poel. 163 just drifting off the front, so that is the TVM rider Martin Ducrot. Ronan Pensek, who wore the yellow jerseys for 2 days until he got in trouble on the Alpe d'Huez. Still wearing the yellow jersey though, sorry, the yellow hat as a member of the Z team that are best placed over on general classification. Drifting through number 74, Gus Maroli, who was in the action yesterday. Then we can see number 157, Peter Roos. So it's a very useful little group of riders going through. Jos van Aert, number 39 for the PDM team. And here, glad to see him back at the front of the race, is Dag Otto Lauritsen, the Norwegian rider, who had a very, very bad crash early in the year and wrecked his wrist. And when he went to ride the American Tour de Trump, he was unable really to hold the handlebars. He won the Tour de Trump last year, Dag Otto Lauritsen, and really had to soldier on this year and do the best he could just to finish. But he managed that, and here he is in this breakaway group as well. 185 in there, so the Bucklers are packing quite well, and that's Toyn Poles. So we've got some coming up from behind, Van Hooijdonk and Toyn Poles up in that leading group as well. Here is another splinter group. Well, it's happening all the way through, and there is the Soviet Union world record breaker as an amateur with 10 world records to his credit. Ladislav Yekimov himself, number 62, so he's 56th overall. He's no great threat to anybody else sat further back, so I've no doubt they'll probably be given a little bit of leeway as they set off to try and chase down those leaders. 184 in there, Kjell Nydam. Steve Bauer also in this group, so this is a very useful working group, and Bauer has threatened ever since he lost his yellow jersey as race leader that what he wanted to do was to win the stage. Well, they've got to get themselves up to that leading group, try and close it down. It does seem to me there's rather too many large groups out on the road in front, so this group here, the main field, the pelotons we call it, not too concerned. And looking down there, you can see how the yellow jersey of Claudio Chiappucci is sat right behind Greg LeMond, last year's winner of the Tour de France by a slender 8 seconds, and there's only 5 seconds separating these two today. Oliver Ludwig doing none of the chasing down because there's such a gang of riders up in front of him. He'd be quite happy to keep an eye on the second place man in the green jersey competition, Johan Muzio, who's not in that breakaway group. And the group back to Steve Barr's splinter group is 1 minute and 5 seconds. So these riders at the front setting a good hot pace are 1:05 ahead of the chasers, and then behind that we've got the main peloton. So it really has been spread today on what's been a fairly flat day, and we thought perhaps they might sort of potter along and have a big bunch sprint, but everybody looking to get their name up. This is the Chaseway group wedged between the leaders and the main pack. This is the one containing Steve Barr. Number 48 in there, that's Pello Ruiz Cabezani, and he's the best placed man here, so he might see some reaction from the peloton. They won't want Ruiz Cabezani to get too far out in the distance, so join us after this break. Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the Tour de France. We've had quite an interesting series of breakaway groups, something like about 14 men down the road being hotly pursued by a group of 6, which includes Steve Barr, and then behind the main peloton, cruising at the moment, but I don't think they're going to like it when these lot join up. Going for about 19 or 20 men in the lead. So 2, 4, 6, here's a chasing group of 6. Just drifting off the back of that group is one of the Raelo Postobon riders. We don't usually see them up in the chasing groups on the flat, and nicely positioned in there Steve Barr, who, if you watch the start of Eurosport's coverage of the Tour de France, will remember that on day 1 he went away with the breakaway group, including Frans Maassens, Roland Pansak and himself and Claudio Chiappucci, and gained a 10 minutes lead. It was one of these sort of days, a rolling day, sun shining, bunch went to sleep at the back, and Steve took advantage of that, rocketed off into the lead, and he got the yellow jersey and held it right the way through for 9 days until he lost it on the Alpe d'Huez. He has no great pretensions of being a mountain climber, but that added those 9 days he wore the yellow jersey this year, with the 5 he had it in the Tour in '88 when he did. So it's put him well up in the list of those people that have been wearing the yellow jersey for stage after stage. So total of like 13 stages in yellow. Well, this man we're watching zooming his way back into the bunch. Very courageous bike rider, Steve Barr. We watched him in the early season on the Paris-Roubaix when he was just beaten by a tyres width by Eddie Plancard, who started this tour, but he's out. As I said earlier in the programme, looks like we're going to have a record number of finishers in the tour this year. A swift drink for Steve Barr. It's very thirsty work out there today, very debilitating, very drying to dehydrating. And these riders who've been racing now over 3,000 kilometres have been covered since they left the start at Futuroscope, coming up now to just on 3 weeks this coming Saturday, since we had the prologue time trial and Sunday the first road stage. 3 weeks in action so far with 3,000 kilometres of racing, only 2 rest days. What a way to earn a living. A lot of money at stake though, 10 million French francs, that's about £1,000 overall to be won for the riders. So there's a lot to go for, and the prestige, of course, of getting yourself either a stage victory or one of the very valuable jerseys other than the yellow one. This certainly is splintering in the chase, trying to pull back those leaders. What a long string of riders. The pace has certainly shot up now. And going on down into Limoges, where the Tour has finished now on no less than 9 occasions in the recently. The last time was 1988, when Gianni Bogno, of all people, won the stage. That was his first stage victory in the Tour de France, and this year he's won a couple of them. He won that stage up into the Alpe d'Huez, climbing magnificently to win the stage from Greg LeMond and Eric Breukink. And then yesterday into Bordeaux, Bogno scored again. What fine form he is in at the moment. Gianni Bogno, winner of the Tour of Italy, and sat down there in that main field. Positioned at the moment, Gianni Bogno 6 overall in the competition, 7 minutes and 29 seconds down on Claudio Chiappucci. Looks to me there as if the red and white colours of the Alpha Lump sprinters beginning to go forward. We saw Jidamilin Abduraparov in sprinting form again yesterday. He was trying to get himself in at the head of that big bunch. He's an extremely good amateur sprinter, having won stages in the Peace Race and in the Milk Race in England, most of the major stage races. He was always up there, but many of these Soviet Union riders and East Germans that had turned to professional ranks, they've had to settle down and understand the different tempo of racing, because the professionally well-run teams like Z here with Ronan Pensek have well-drilled squads, and they know that the future always lies in professional racing when they're amateurs, whereas those from East Germany and the Soviet Union had to stay amateurs for many, many years, could never turn pro. One thing they had to go and do was then be a coach or get promoted in the army or something. They couldn't actually earn money at their sport. But all these other riders you're looking at now from the other cycling nations knew there was money to be gained, and therefore they learned their craft very well indeed. Ronan Pensek, we saw number 8 for the Z team. Z's been one of the best teams in the mountain. And here's another very successful rider indeed, Adrie van der Poel, in good form this year, first in the Amstel Gold Race. In fact, he's married to Corinne Poulidor, the daughter of the former French star Raymond Poulidor. He rode the Tour de France, did Raymond, no less than 14 times. They used to call him the eternal second for the number of times that he finished in second place behind Jacques Anquetil. In actual fact, he only finished in second place 3 times in the Tour de France, but he earned that sort of nickname because he just could not dislodge the figure of Jacques Anquetil, winner of the Tour de France on no less than 5 occasions. Suffering at the back, Rascalo's been shelled out of the Bauer group. There were originally 6 men, they're now down to 5. Up in front we have 14 men. So the position is 14 men lead, 5 are chasing, and behind we have the main peloton. The main peloton is drifting back. The last check we had, it was getting to be over 3 minutes. This group wedged in between are somewhere around about a minute and a bit down on the 14 men in front and trying to close it down. So what's going to happen with this little group as the riders settling in? 181 in there. We saw him earlier on, an extremely good Roman sprinter, and surprised many people last year, did Eric van Hooydonk, when he took the lead in the Perrier World Cup. And when this Tour de France is over, on Sunday week, the next round of the Perrier World Cup will take place in England, down at Brighton, and then they're going to keep moving, San Sebastian and so on, until they finish the World Cup this year. And the leader, Marino Argentin, out of the Tour of Italy, Tour of France this year, following a crash. He won the stage, a very wet stage, up there into Nantes and Poitiers to Nantes, and another attack coming off. This looks as if it is one of the Argentin's teammates from the Ariastir squad in the red and yellow. Many people have put their season round the Tour de France. You imagine Marino Argentin didn't ride the Tour of Italy solely to come into this great race here, and he won his stage he was looking for, his first time in the Tour de France, then he crashes and he's out of it. There's a lot of bad luck in the Tour, and when these people get to Paris on Sunday, many of them will just be thankful they've survived the course. Many of them, of course, will be counting the bruises and counting the scratches and counting the crashes they've had, and many of them, of course, will be counting the money, because teams like Z are going to come out of this race very well indeed. Their team leader, Greg LeMond, poised to win his 2nd Tour de France in succession and his 3rd Tour de France overall. He'll be in that pack somewhere, watching out for the yellow jersey. The two have been glued together for the last 2 or 3 days, and what a tremendous piece of courage it was from Claudio Chiappucci when he fought his way up the big climb when Greg LeMond threw the hammer down to Lutz Ardiden in the Pyrenees, and he just survived by a slender 5 seconds. There he is in the yellow jersey, right down in the centre of our picture. Well, the main field aren't too concerned about those breakaway groups. Nobody's any real challenge overall. The best placed rider that I saw early on was Ruiz Cabestany. He's in 15th place, 16 minutes 24 seconds down, and if you have to move a lot to try and get that yellow jersey off the shoulder of Chiappucci. They won't allow that to happen, but he could well move up 2 or 3 places, might even get himself in the top 10, although I suspect that the big teams, PDM and so on, will start to wind the pace up shortly. The gap is growing all the time, getting now well over 5 minutes between the leaders and the main group. Well, yesterday we saw the problems that can occur when the group is spread across the road like this. It only calls for a touch of wheel or somebody to miss an obstacle in the centre of the road, and down can go riders. So the best men do get themselves to the front, and I would presume, we can't see down there very well at the moment, I'd presume certainly that Pedro Delgado will have got himself, for occasion, up the front. So it's 2 minutes and 5 seconds, so the information I had was not quite correct. It is in fact 2 minutes and 5 seconds to the leading group. They're still driving very hard, but that can be caught back. The bunch must have woken up. We saw them string out at one time, so perhaps they recognise that they've got to pull back that leading group. They're also suffering in the heat, as you can see. A very hard day to be riding a bike, but out there, 14 men in the lead, 5 men chasing, and the main field. Well, will they be caught before we get down to Limoges? Do join us after this break to find out. Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the Tour de France, stage 19, taking the riders from Castellane-la-Bataille to Limoges. 182 kilometres. We're looking at a little group wedged between a pack of 14 who've got away now with a lead of over 2 minutes on the main field. This group of 5 at one time was 6 strong, but unfortunately he's just been shelled out. We saw him disappear off the back. Yusuf Arazado of the Calma team couldn't hold the pace, and these riders can now see the 14 men up in front of them, and already they're starting to rip across, whilst the main field does not seem to be too bothered about the fact that there's going to be something like 19 men going away. As I said earlier on, by the way, the green jersey, which is just in that main pack, will be quite happy if it stays that way, because with the way the points scored, starting at 35 points and down to 25th place, looks as if now there's likely to be 19 men in front. There's still some way to go before they can catch them back, but if they stay out there, that will suit Olive Ludwig of the Panasonic squad. There's one Panasonic rider, Ekimov, we just saw him in the red and yellow colours. I think he's been sent up just to keep an eye on affairs. Here moving through, Franz Maassen. With that group of 4 riders that went away at Futurescope on day 1, won the first stage of the Tour de France this year. He didn't have a particularly good time trial, so he didn't get the yellow jersey on. In fact, here in this group, the man second from the front in the 711 colours, Steve Bauer, he took over the yellow jersey following a breaker which had all the old heads of the sport shaking their heads in disbelief. Hino could not believe how anybody could allow riders like Steve Bauer up there leading this little pack of 5, and this fellow at the back, Franz Maassen, to have such an enormous gap. And the other one that profited by it, Ronan Pansek, was able to get the yellow jersey when he got to the climb up to Saint-Gervais-Mont Blanc, because extremely good climber. He in fact took the yellow jersey on his birthday. What a present that was for him. And he held it for a couple of days, but then Chiappucci took it over from him when we came to the time trial, and that could decide the race, the time trial tomorrow. 5 seconds separating Le Monde from Chiappucci. But that early break had everybody talking about this tour as being an absolute one-off, with a 10-minute lead for 4 riders, and 2 of them are still in this pack, and the other 2 are back in the main field. They're going to close that gap down. This will make it quite a workmanlike group. There are so many different teams in here. There were 22 teams started in the Tour de France this year, and here we can see 5 riders going up, 1 from each team. And when we get up in the front group there'll be some teams with 2 men, but generally speaking, of the 19 riders up there, the majority of them are for single teams, so I think the main field might let them go on and sort these things out themselves, and wonder who out of this lot's got the best sprint. Well, certainly Steve Bauer, moving through now, has got a phenomenal sprint. He was the subject of quite a comeuppance in the World Championship a couple of years ago when he bashed into Claude Criquillon in a dynamic sprint. So perhaps he's looking for a chance of getting through this little lot here and getting a stage victory down to Limoges. Well, it looks like they've made it, and that pack are together heading down to Limoges. We've had the Tour de France in Limoges on 9 occasions in the past. 1970 is probably most significant, because that was when Eddie Merckx won the prologue time trial in Limoges, and then he won the final stage in Paris, and 6 others as well. So to give you some idea, in those days, that the gap now 2 minutes 40 seconds between this main group of 19 riders and the field behind. When in Limoges in 1970, when Eddie Merckx won the prologue and then won another 7 stages, how in those days you could get one man dominating the race. This year we've had so many different riders winning stages, so many people with a chance of taking over the yellow jersey. It's been quite a fascinating race, and it's not over yet by any means. There, Ruiz Cabestany, the best placed rider in this little group, they really begin to try and work him over to make him go a bit quicker. He had an extremely good Tour of Spain. He finished 4th overall. He's lying 15th. You can see there, 16 minutes 24 seconds down. So he's in fine form, 4th place in the Tour of Spain when he had a stage win as well. And a little bit of a split opening up. They'll have to keep this close because the pressure goes on at the front. Those chasers who've just got up won't like to have to do a lot of work to try and close down this gap. Moving through 172, Guido Bontempi from the Career Jeans Vagabond team. Well, so that suits the yellow jersey of Claudio Chiappucci. He's got a man up in front to keep an eye on things, to make sure the gap doesn't get too great. And the ever-present Chateau Dax red and white colours coming up as well. And the Lotto boys likewise in those pink jerseys. Lotto, an all-Belgian team, quite a youthful one, except for their team leader, Claude Croquillon, who is having one of his best tours for some time. So we've got a good spratting of team in here. We've got an RMO rider going past, picking all this little lot up. So, oops, they're starting to split it and go for it. The hammer's going down, and there we are. That's the reason, 145.5 kilometres at Chanteloup. So with the race then to cover 182 kilometres to go, we're getting towards the back end of the race. There's still a couple of sharpish climbs to be over the top of, which will no doubt hurt some of the legs of these riders. And I think somebody came back to see the doctor then in some sort of trouble. 77 just drifting through. Chateau Dax sitting well at the back. That's surprising, 77 and 73. Perhaps there's been a slight puncture. We have already had information that Le Mans has punctured, and he's got back in. It didn't cause him a lot of trouble, by the way. He had a front wheel puncture, managed quickly to get a replacement, unlike the other day when he lost a lot of time on that climb, and the whole of the field went crazy as he went over the Mary LeBlanc. But right now, working his way in that pack safely in position is Greg LeMond, because a little puncture here. He's got some of his team round about him, those jerseys of the Zeds. So here we are, the final sprint of today. That will in fact suit Ludwig, because none of these three here are in contention for the green jersey that's on his shoulders. There were 6 points for first man over the line, and it looked to me as he very comfortably went to number 76, drifting along here, and that would be Tony Rominger. Yes, he was in first place. Dagotta Lauritsen was there as well. I had to wait for confirmation of that, because we were a long way back with our camera picking up that sprint as they went through. But again, it will help Ludwig as the points went to lower place riders on the green points jersey. Well, there's no doubt about it that this fellow looks extremely relaxed, doesn't he? We were just looking then at Dagotta Lauritsen, because as I said earlier, he had a very bad start to the season when he managed to fall off his bike and bust his wrist. Tremendous competitor. He's ridden the Tour de France now, well, this is his fifth time. He didn't finish actually last year, and he won a stage way back in 1987. Now, who's going to have a go at this one? There seems to be no concerted action. This could allow the main group to catch up, because Twompole's going through, doesn't seem to want to make things go any faster, easing back off the front there. Roberto Gusmeroli. And a chance to have something to eat. Of course, a long day in the saddle again today. Andreas Kappas having something to eat, and that's taken the sting out of this group. There's too many of them, 19. It's very difficult to work. There, Runner Pensek going through. Nobody seems to want to charge along and make it happen. I'm sure somebody's going to try and whip this one up, otherwise they're getting caught. Ruiz Cabestany would benefit from this, and there's so many of these Chateau Dax riders here. Perhaps they're waiting under instructions of Gianno Bogno, who would like to make a third success in the Tour. I was looking there to see what the Carrera riders are up to. Certainly they're defending Claudio Chiappucci very well indeed. It was significant in the mountains that the poor fellow in the yellow jersey, number 27-year-old Claudio Chiappucci, he had to do a lot of work because none of his team could ride with him. But they've got alongside him now, and he's down in the centre, so he's well protected on the flatter parts of the course. He's got Greg LeMond just behind him. Greg wearing a yellow hat, not wearing one of his crash hats for a change today. He's wearing a yellow hat because he, in the Z team, look at the Z jerseys round about Greg LeMond. Whole galaxy of Z jerseys. Mr. Janier, the owner of a children's wear manufacturing and distributing organisation, must be very happy with his performance of his team, dominating the team classification. Although Onse have given us quite a surprise this year, how close they've been to the Zeds on many occasions. Right at the back, number 99, they're another rider we haven't seen much of, Jose Rodriguez of the SUR team. The SUR lost no less than 4 of their riders in about the first 5 days of racing, so they haven't really been able to contribute much to the race when they've had some of their top men slimmed down. They lost Marco Giovanetti, and it was not surprised to see him go out of the race because of his remarkably good performance. He won the Tour of Spain, so SUR slimmed down when he went out of the race earlier on. They lost their big sprinter Matthew Hermans as well, so the SUR rider at the back just coasting on in. Great year for the Italians in cycle racing, with Giovanetti winning the Tour of Spain, and then the Tour of Italy going to Gianni Bugno. Down there, in the yellow jersey, Claudio Chiappucci for Italy. With that yellow jersey, if only he can hang on to that. There is confirmation. Rominger was first, D'Agostino Lawrence second, and Ducrot in third place at the 148-kilometre sprint. So Felice Gimondi, the last Italian to win the race in 65, and we've got some action at the front of that group, and he's gone. That is Guido Bontempi. We picked him up in that group, but he looks like he's left them now. So the rest of the riders behind him, Ronan Pensek, Jos van Aert, Anselmo Fuerti. In there too was Laurent, Rominger, Guzmanoli, de Klerk. They've all been left by this fellow Bontempi. Who can do the chasing down? Van Hooijdonk, Adrie van der Poel, Andries Kappe, D'Agostino Lawrence. What a roll call of cracking riders, and of course joining up there later on people like the great man himself, Barr, couldn't in fact do anything about this attack, so one's gone away, leaving the group behind him 18 strong. A very well-timed move by Bontempi, but I think he might have gone rather a long way from the finish, because as Bontempi's attacked, it's at 32 kilometres to go when he went away. That's a long way to the finish for a man who is a specialist sprinter. When I say specialist sprinter, I'm not talking about bursting out of the pack like we've seen Olaf Ludwig do. This fellow likes a long, hard, drawn-out sprint. He's put a bit of weight on in recent years. I remember watching him win a stage in, I think it was 1986, in the Tour at Cherbourg. It was a long uphill finish, and that suited him perfectly, because he came out of this small pack and just surged. He's just got the ability to keep surging all the way through, and he surged. In fact, he won 3 stages in the Tour de France that year, finished off by winning the final stage into Paris. There, give you some idea of his performances. This year, 118th the Tour of Italy, 16th Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, he finished in 49th place. So in the Tours, he's not usually going to finish very high up, because look at the size of him. He has the problem that all big riders have in the mountains, and they just can't hold the pace. Off the back here, number 15 is Thierry Marie, looking back for his team car. Must be in a little bit of trouble. Thierry Marie down in 114th place. He was the rider that won the opening prologue time trial at Futuroscope, and was the first rider to wear the yellow jersey, something that he's done quite often in the past in major tours. He's a prologue specialist, and then once he got the yellow jersey, his job in the blue colours there, the Castorama squad, was to look after the affairs of Laurent Fignon. But since Fignon's retired, the Castorama rally riders had to do what they can to get themselves some glory, and one looking for some glory today must be the local raced rider, Luc Leblanc. He comes from this neck of the woods. So, out in front. Looking back down, it's not far, there can't be more than about 100 metres, and there are 2 riders trying to come up to him. But if they get up and join alongside Guido Bontempi, that will certainly aid his efforts to win the stage. Bontempi still going, 2 men chasing him. Guido Bontempi, 29 years of age, very, very powerful rider indeed. Had the first place in the Tour de Puy early on this year. And the man with the baton on his motorcycle wants all the motorcycles to go forward. They're giving him some sort of shelter. There's not a lot of wind today, and the temperature then way up in the mid-30s. It's basting down on these, absolutely baking hot for these riders. Guido Bontempi is still riding well. There's 1 or 2 little climbs towards the back end. I think that's going to hurt him. We've got a 4th category climb, which is only going to come somewhere in round about, what's that, 6 kilometres from the finish, 8 kilometres from the finish. He's got a 4th category climb. He won't like that at all. He's still got a long way to go. Fancy going off at 32 kilometres. I think he's hoping for somebody to come up to him, but still he's soldiering on. Guido Bontempi then, the 29-year-old from the Carrera squad, had a drink. This will suit him, a bit of downhill, and he's got more life into his legs. Those 2 chasers have got to do some work to catch him. And concentration on the face of Guido Bontempi. He's picked his speed up. He's heading on down towards Limoges. The main field aren't too bothered at all. This will give Guido Bontempi every chance to stay away. I wonder if he can get down into Limoges and win the stage. Join us after the break to find out. Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the Tour de France Stage 19 from Castel-la-Bataille to Limoges. 182 kilometres in the baking hot sunshine, And this rider, Guido Bontempi, went away at the 32-kilometre point all on his own. He escaped from a group of some 19 riders that had departed from the peloton that was slumbering in the sunshine, and they all have one object in common: to try and win this stage down into Limoges. And look at the way the chase is on from behind. Guido Bontempi will really have to go some to keep away from this pack thundering along. The main field, this one you're looking at now, has got every opportunity of reeling in the other 19 riders. Although the gap at one time was stretching to well over 5 minutes, they begin to work, and that the speed at which the Zeds are travelling could bring the whole thing back together. This is done deliberately as well, the way in which the Zeds are going on the front. What they want to try and do is set a very hot pace indeed, so that they will tax the strength of the young rider in the yellow jersey, because by keeping the pace up, he'll have to work hard. If we get the time trial tomorrow, he might well have sore legs and be a bit on the tired side. So that's what they're doing, stretching the field and making it go as they thunder along then. They've been through Cholos, which has two 12th-century castles, and it was while attacking one of these that Richard I, the Coeur de Lion, was mortally wounded by a bolt from a crossbow. Right now, the man who's mortally wounded in this field is out in front, Guido Bontempi, going like a train, and the rest of them can't do anything about it. But here we have an attack from the Castorama rally team in the blue and the white, urged on by the big crowd on the side of the road. It's Luc Leblanc who's going for it. I'm not surprised. He comes from Limoges, where the stage finishes today, and the rest of the pack are after him. Well, in the old days, they used to allow a local rider a bit of an opportunity to show himself in front of the crowd along the side of the road. They'd allow him to go down the road a couple hundred yards, and out this other side of the town, the pack would come back, and he would ease, and he would let them catch him. But yes, he's done his little job. I think that's it. He's drifted back in again. But Delgado's going for it. Le Monde has recognised it, and so too has Chiappucci. Well, I think there they took advantage of the opportunity of Leblanc to ride through his local area, and closing it down, a tremendous burst of speed by Delgado, split the field, but quick response by the Zeds brought up Greg LeMond, who is the team captain of the Z squad, last year's winner of the Tour de France. And I don't think that Claudio Chiappucci there, indicating with his hand, was too happy with the fact that Delgado tried to slip away when the local rider was going up that hill, urged on by his local people. Le Monde looking remarkably comfortable. Well, tonight these riders will be concentrating, and tomorrow morning on the time trial. Many of them thinking of just getting to Paris, but many of them thinking tomorrow of the vital seconds that separates them from a next slot up in the general classification. No more so than between Le Monde and Claudio Chiappucci. On the front again, very good control today by the Carrera team in the white with the blue sort of straps going over the top of the shoulders, and the red Carrera on the front. And this is also the colours of Carrera. It's also the man himself, Guido Bontempi. It's 4 kilometres to go. He's lasted remarkably well. He went away at 32 kilometres, but he's beginning to suffer. You can always feel the pain with him. He's got to push those gears round, and that different shape of body, the larger weight he's carrying, so different from the little mountain climbers we've been watching in the Pyrenees and the Alps. But he's still got a lot of guts and courage. It levels off at the top of the climb, up here through the Côte d'Aix-sur-Bain, and then when it drops down the other side, a little run into Limoges, where there's a bit of a drag uphill to the finish. Can he stay away from the pack? There's a lot of waving going on in the bunch, and I think what they're doing is they've probably got the news now that Claudio Chiappucci's teammate up there in the front is making good progress, Guido Bontempi. They don't want to raise the pace too much. So Le Monde up there, and I can see coming up to Stephen Roche up alongside Claudio Chiappucci. Chiappucci openly admitted a few days ago that he'd learnt a lot when he was riding with Stephen Roche. When Roche, you can see now the jersey, the one with the spots on the shoulder. There's Chiappucci waving forward and shouting to his teammate, and Roche looked across and just touched the side of Greg LeMond. Stephen Roche then going through what a wonderful season he had when in 1987 he won not only the Tour de France, Stephen Roche, but he also won the Tour of Italy and the World Championship. A triple that's almost impossible to achieve in this day and age, but he did it. Eddie Merckx did it before him, and now attacking again, it's the King of the Mountains himself, Thierry Claverin. He's got so many points in the King of the Mountains, and this fourth category climber ahead of him is of no major consequence, but he's just showing his skills at climbing, whether it's a short, sharp little hill or the big long ones of the Alps and the Pyrenees. He didn't do quite so well in the Pyrenees, Thierry, but he amassed enough points to carry that polka dot jersey all the way, barring accidents, to Paris. Got a massive 318 points, Terry Cradler, from Pierre Pucci in second place with 165 points. Greg LeMond is featuring in 5th place in the King of the Mountains competition, just to give you some idea how Greg's been up there in the action of the mountains. And LeMond is also in 6th place on the points competition. That shows you the consistency. Where, you might ask, is Sean Kelly? Well, he was found in 2, 4, 6, in 7th place on the points competition with 101 points, just 1 point less than Greg LeMond. And Sean Kelly has been working hard for Eric Brooking, who today was in 3rd place on general classification. This man is well down on GC, no challenge to the main contenders for the yellow jersey, but still everybody loves to win a stage, and he's really now can smell down there victory ahead of him. 50,000 French francs, and the gap is 1 minute and 30 seconds. Still going hard. Oh, they begin to split as the chasers trying to get across that gap and join up with him, so there's action all the way. Still out in front, one lone leader, Guido Bontempi. Dagoto Lawrence is starting to go for it, and yet again we've seen this fellow in action. He's doing it on the second day on the trot. We've got in there Roberto Cresmanoli, who yesterday went off with his team leader Gianni Bugno. Quite a young lad is this fellow. It's his first Tour de France, and you can see the difference in style between Cresmanoli, who's quite a small short rider, 2 kilometres to go for Guido Bontempi at the front. Well, he's already won 3 stages of the Tour de France. I said in '86 when he had that lovely uphill sprint up at Cherbourg. And since then he's mainly concentrated on the Tour of Italy. In 1988 he had 2 stage wins, another stage win in '87. In Classics in '86 he won the Ghent-Wevelgem, and that year 4 stage wins in Italy. So he's got a massive total of stage victories in the Tour of Italy as the rest try to hound him down. Peter Rose trying to go across to nice nifty little rider from the Lotto squad. They weren't looked upon as a threat when this tour started, but they really have been up there surprising a lot of people, and particularly the way in which Johan Museeuw has been going for the points competition, and we saw some brilliant climbing and brilliant riding in the Alps and Pyrenees from young Brunel. That, I'm sure, is going to be a team to watch out for in the future. All Belgians, most unusual many teams go out and lobby for a foreigner to join their squad to strengthen in some department or the other. But here we have the career rider from Italy, Guido Bontempi. Looking back over his shoulders, he knows there's a group coming up to him. He's got to really search down and attempt to pull up some more strength, because these 3, oh, they've lost the rhythm. They've lost the rhythm now. There's Cresmanoli there. We're under 2 kilometres, so there's every chance that Guido Bontempi can stay away. Dagoto Lawrence is on Cresmanoli's wheel. And just in behind him then, it looks as if we're going to have 1 kilometre. So down there, you can just see in the distance the finish be over the top, and it's not far, just about over a minute and maybe 40 or 50 seconds on this long drag. He's got to hang on. They're coming up from behind, and he's beginning to die. So poor Guido Bontempi, the strength is going for his legs. This 29-year-old expert at winning stages in the Tour of Italy wants to add to the 3 he won in the Tour de France in '86 by 1 today, and look at it written all over his face. He went away at 32 kilometres to go. He's been out there on his own for 31 kilometres. He's lost his rhythm. He's beginning to rock. He dared look back because those other riders are coming up to him. He has to just grit his teeth and find strength from somewhere. Guido Bontempi still trying to get another few extra pedal revs of power down, and these are the 3 after him. If they get a concerted action rather than breaking up like this, there's every chance they can try and get to him, but it looks as if the gap's opened up a bit more. They've been playing cat and mouse, which will play into the hands of Guido Bontempi. He's going away quite nicely. He's getting towards the top of this rise, and the crowd cheering him. They love a lone attack, and today we've seen an act of courage by this rider. And coming up into the finishing straight, he's made it. The chasers could not get together, so he's going to win this stage to take his tally in the Tour de France to 4. A great ride then into Limoges by Guido Bontempi of the Carrera squad. About 200 metres to go, and all the way down the straight here. This great crowd turning out to welcome him over in the line. Luc Leblanc, they would hope, I would have thought, that their man from the Castrama squad would come here today, but everybody loves a trier, and he's tried so hard today. Guido, they call him, or Big Guido, and his powerful physique has carried him into yet another stage victory. Whew, you can almost feel the strength going from his legs, but he's made it, and that's it. A win then for Guido Bontempi. 5 hours, 16 minutes they've been riding in baking hot weather conditions. I think what he wants now is a large drink of water. Now these three, if only they'd concerted their efforts, they might have pulled him back, but they might, of course, be swallowed up by the chasing group behind him. We've still got something like about those 15 riders that have all split. The main pack's trying to pull up one or two of them. These three have stayed away. So what an interesting day we've had, with the main pack allowing first to 14 men to go, then 6 more, then one dropped off, then they split again. And here this little three-man group chasing after Guido Bontempi didn't make it, but between them and the main pack, still little groups of riders trying to stay in contention. On the front, Gus Maroli, behind him, Dagos and Lauritsen, and Doros is in 3rd spot. Who's going to get this one? Well, yesterday, Gus Maroli had to settle for a 3rd place in the sprint. Is he going for a long one? He's deciding to go for a long one. Peter Rose in the back can't hold it at all. Dagos and Lauritsen in 2nd place. Gus Maroli yesterday couldn't sprint at all when it came to finish. He'd worked so hard for Gianni Bugno. It didn't matter yesterday, but he's absolutely blown again. And Dag Otto Lauritsen, the Norwegian, is out trying to get this stage in 2nd place, and he's going to get a second. It looks like it's there for him. At the line, will he make it? De Roos goes for him. Dagos will have to go again. He judged it a little bit wrong, but he still got there in 2nd place. 1 minute 27 seconds down. De Roos was in 3rd, and Gus Maroli dropped back another place into 4th today, but I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more of him. So for Dag Otto Lauritsen, the Norwegian rider, he's certainly showing that he's coming back from that broken wrist in fine form. And here the main pack with the yellow jersey still ensconced, and this is Luc Leblanc. Oh, he did get away in the end. Oh, a fine move. So Luc Leblanc did manage to get away off the front of that group, and he's going to be out of the top honours. There's lots of sprints going on. Adrian van der Poel didn't quite make it there. So as the riders come in all over the place, congratulations then to Guido Bontempi, and bad luck to Luc Leblanc, who at 23 years of age comes to Limoges, and certainly we're going to hear a lot more of him in the future. And the locals here will be satisfied just to see the fact that he's made it at this part of the course. Over 3,100 kilometres now being covered by these riders. And yet again, this is the remnants of that 19-man group. As I said, it was a tremendously hard day for them. They couldn't hold Guido Bontempi. Give you some idea of how hard he went towards the last 30 kilometres and finished 2 minutes 43 seconds ahead of the rest of these riders. So Ekimov brings in that little pack of riders as well. So he got up there, but no chance of getting a stage victory for the Soviet Union rider today. Let Bontempi go. And here we're back with the main pack. They're well down, but they're not worried about the time. Delgado is there, just easing off the front. We've got also Claudio Chiappucci in the yellow. One of his teammates has just gone up in front to keep an eye on the fares. And I think that's Jamali Abdujaparov in the red and white jersey on the back of Le Mans wheel. Very big chunky sprinter. Oh, look at that. It's been a hot day, hasn't it? You can feel for those riders and for these two which we're going to see in action tomorrow, because all the interest will centre on the yellow jersey there, still 5 seconds separating him from Greg LeMond in the rainbow jersey just behind. Well, Claudio Chiappucci, whatever happens tomorrow in the time trial, has earned the admiration of the riders in this peloton, and the spectators who've been watching on the side of the road, and those who've been watching on television likewise, I'm sure. Everybody likes a trier, and he really has come into good form. But of course, he did win the King of the Mountains jersey in the Tour of Italy this year, and also the Paris-Nice. So he's a very good climber, and he's defended his yellow jersey in admirable style. And a brief look as that Charger Light Brigade came up. I can see that Claude Coquillon's made it in the black, yellow, red colours of the national champion of Belgium, so he's safely home in that pack as well. nobody likes an accident to sideline riders at this stage. 157 all coming in together, splattered all over this field, but they haven't lost anybody today. We've heard of no retirements. As again, Javanik Abduljaparov of the Soviet Union starts to wind it up in the sprint, no doubt practicing the day after tomorrow when we have that sprint finish in Paris. And I wonder if we get a Soviet Union rider winning in Paris. We shall have to wait and see, but of course the time trial tomorrow is the one that will, I think, decide the jersey. So then, as the riders coast into the finish here in Limoges, another hot day for them. That is confirmation of the result that Guido Bontempi, in 5 hours, 16 minutes and 4 seconds, was 1:28 ahead of those little group of riders that came in together. And it was Jelle Didem, led in Adrie van der Poel, Steve Bauer and Andres Kappers, all part of that initial breakaway group. And then we have for you up there on the rostrum, Guido Bontempi, who's collecting a plate. Actually, Limoges is well known for its china and for its enamel, so he's got a nice little souvenir to take home with him as well, apart from the 50,000 French francs he gets for winning the stage. No changes in the general classification today. The top three that start out this morning are still in the same position, Chiappucci, Le Monde and Breaking. Can Pedro Delgado get back those 11 seconds tomorrow in the time trial? Can, in fact, Chozas get up to Bugno, because he's only 20 seconds behind him. So there's a lot of battles going on tomorrow, but some of these more lowly placed riders tomorrow will just ride round conserving their strengths and looking forward to other events yet to come. Many of these riders, about the time when they're looking for contracts for next year, who are down the bottom there, will still want to show well in the rest of the events this year, even if they didn't make it in the Tour de France. But a man I'm sure that's going to get a very healthy contract next year, because he's ridden so well this year in the Tour de France. He's up there on the rostrum, Claudio Chiappucci in the yellow jersey. And in the green jersey, the large figure of Olaf Ludwig, setting history by winning a stage in the Tour de France. This East German rider has given us something to look at right the way through the race. He's survived the mountains. He'll do okay in the time trial tomorrow, so certainly we're going to see the green jersey in Paris. Well, Greg LeMond is down there wondering what he's going to do tomorrow. We have an opportunity to talk to Greg about the prospects.
We've noticed the last couple of days you've stayed very close to Chiappucci. Is there a battle of nerves, or does he stay close to me? You? Is there a battle of nerves or a battle of wits going on?
It's normal. He doesn't want me to take any time. I don't want him to take any time. But it goes on in every race.
Yeah.
We do this all year long. And we know the classmen, and nobody wants anybody to get away.
So how are you feeling going into the time trial tomorrow?
Very good. Very, very good.
So, I mean, the 5 seconds doesn't worry you? You think that you're going to take
5 seconds does worry me. 5 seconds
is 5 seconds.
5 seconds is 5 seconds. You can't predict anything in cycling. I could have a breakdown. I could have a bad day tomorrow for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's 100%.
Oh, there's no doubt. It's a lot of pressure to be on you going into a time trial, but you proved it last year with Fignon. You came back at him and you just rode your own time trial.
I'm certain I have the capabilities, and it's just putting everything together, and I'm sure I can, but can't tell until it's really over.
So really, you'll just go out tomorrow to ride your own normal time trial and give it your best?
I want to be kept aware of where Chiappucci is, and I'm going to go all out, no doubt. I want to take as much time as possible. If I can take time, maybe he takes time on me, I don't know.
Okay, well, we wish you luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, what a Tour de France it has been this year, and I don't think Greg LeMond thought he'd find himself so near to victory yet so far, because those slender 5 seconds could be a lifetime as far as anybody's concerned. The individual time trial will be on your screens tomorrow, so do join us for that tomorrow evening, and in fact tomorrow afternoon, 14:50 and 15:50. It's going to be on live on Eurosport, so you can really get close to the action. This Tour de France has everybody talking about it. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Tour, and don't forget that it's live tomorrow and again on Sunday, so you're getting the best of bike racing here on Eurosport. So from us all here on the team, it's goodbye from us right now.